To manage the lives of 1.4 billion people, you must solve a simple math problem. Resources like time, money, and land are strictly limited, but human needs are, by their nature, completely unlimited. When that math gets out of balance, the entire system faces its greatest threat: inflation. This is the quiet erosion of purchasing power. 20 years ago, a 10-rupee note could buy an entire dozen bananas. Today, that exact same piece of paper might only get you 2. This animation shows a balancing scale demonstrating demand-pull inflation. When the supply of money circulating in the market outpaces the actual supply of physical goods, the price tags on those goods are forced rapidly upward. To prevent those scales from breaking entirely, the Indian economy relies on 2 independent, opposing forces. On one side, the government pushes for massive growth. On the other, the Reserve Bank of India pulls hard for stability. This fragile, real-time negotiation between growth and stability prevents a billion-person society from tipping into financial collapse. The government operates the fiscal pillar, and its primary tool is the annual budget. Mandated by Article 112 of the Constitution, this document dictates exactly how the state will spend money to fuel national growth over the next 12 months. That spending splits into 2 specific categories. Revenue expenditure goes toward day-to-day survival, paying salaries, pensions, and interest on old debts. Capital expenditure, however, actually builds physical wealth, financing new assets like highways, power plants, and public hospitals. To afford those massive infrastructure projects, the government requires aggressive tax collection. For decades, the system was a tangled web of 17 different indirect taxes. To fix this, India integrated nearly all of them into a single framework, the Goods and Services Tax, or GST. This flowchart tracks a raw material moving through the old supply chain. Under the previous VAT system, every time value was added at a new stage, the new tax was calculated on top of the old taxes. Notice the red warning boxes piling up. This cascading effect artificially bloated the final price tag for the consumer. Watch as the flowchart transforms under the modern GST system. The red boxes disappear because businesses now receive an input tax credit, allowing them to deduct the tax they already paid at earlier stages. The calculation streamlines to the destination, dropping items into one of 4 clean slabs: 5, 12, 18, or 28%. You won't find everything on that matrix. Highly lucrative items like alcohol and petroleum products were deliberately kept entirely outside the GST system. State governments rely heavily on taxing these specific goods to ensure their own survival. When the government's ambitions exceed the money it pulls in from these taxes, it creates a fiscal deficit. To cover the gap, the state has to borrow heavily, flooding the market with new money and inevitably pushing the needle right back toward inflation. Once that borrowed money floods the market, the Reserve Bank of India steps in to hit the brakes. The central bank rarely touches the physical printing presses. The finance ministry actually prints and signs the 1-rupee note. The central bank exercises its power not by creating paper, but by dictating the mathematical flow and cost of money nationwide. Their most precise tool for this is the repo rate. This is the baseline interest rate at which the RBI lends short-term funds to everyday commercial banks. This cascading graph demonstrates the downward chain reaction. When the top line, the repo rate, ticks upward, commercial banks pass that cost along, forcing the middle line of consumer loan rates to rise. Look at the bottom bar chart. As loans become expensive, citizens stop borrowing, spending drops, and inflation finally cools off. As the graph wipes away, we see a pie chart representing a commercial bank's total daily deposits. When the RBI needs to aggressively drain liquidity, they use the cash reserve ratio. Watch as a slice is pulled away and locked into the vault. This represents cash the bank is legally barred from lending out. By adjusting this ratio even a fraction of a percent, the RBI forces banks to instantly lock away billions of rupees in their reserves. That money is mathematically erased from the public market overnight. The mandate of the central bank is austere by design. By deliberately making money harder to acquire, they choke off short-term spending to protect the long-term survival of the economy, preventing the destructive spiral of hyperinflation. This constant friction, the government accelerating with massive budgets while the RBI applies the brakes with interest rates, produces the ultimate scorecard for the country, the national income. This animated equation shows how India calculates its true national wealth. It starts by adding domestic production and foreign earnings to get gross national product. But notice the subtraction block. They must remove depreciation, which accounts for the wear and tear on physical assets over time. Only then do you get the result, net national product, the purest measure of national income. A massive national number hides the reality of individual citizens. To find the per capita income, the average wealth of a single person, you divide that total by the population. When Dadabhai Naoroji performed this calculation for the first time in 1868, he found the average Indian lived on a mere 20 rupees a year. These macroeconomic formulas dictate the exact boundaries of your financial reality. They are the reason you pay an 18% tax on a haircut, the reason your monthly home loan payment fluctuates, and the reason vegetables cost what they do at the corner market. The Indian economy is the invisible architecture of daily life. It's a highly calibrated billion-person system where the exact weight of your wallet is forever tethered to the balance between fiscal ambition and monetary control.